This is unbelievable. Self-acclaimed Prime Minister of the Republic of Biafra, Simon Ekpa, declared another 14 days sit at home. Following the just concluded sit at home, an extension of 7 days, of course, just as people are yet to recover from the economic mishaps and the unfortunate, of course, experience of this extension, the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa has declared an extension of 14 days sit at home. This he said as a protest for the continual incarceration or illegal detention of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, even after the appellate court of law declared him acquitted and discharged. Nigerian government has continued to detain illegally the said door, and this has triggered several reactions. And of course, to this end, the sitters' home has become a recurrent decimal as a way of expressing their disappointment and dissatisfaction over the continued incarceration, torture, and detention of a man that has been declared innocent of all the allegations or charges levied against him by the competent courts of the Nigerian state or jurisdiction, bordering on, of course, the rendition, extraordinary rendition, which do not follow the diplomatic and international procedures. And to this end, Simon Ekpa, who claimed to be the Prime Minister, has given his ultimatum that if the Nigerian government refuses to release Nnamdi Kanu or before 31st of July, he will impose another, of course, sit at home, which is intended to cripple the entire economy of the Nigerian state in a bid, of course, to push the and demand the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and as well the restoration of the Biafran state. He claims, honestly, this has been a very disturbing issue of concern for anyone who cares. But the reality remains that how determined are these pro-Biafran agitators? Of course, the evidence or the impact is being felt in the last 7 days or so, and the entire economic activities within the eastern region was clamped down, and to this end, you barely could move your business or services within this locality. And if eventually you find yourself within the Biafran, supposed Biafran territory, for this past 7 years, your movement, of course, is restricted pending on the lifting of the ban or sit at home. Honestly, it has not been easy. The sensitization and the implementation seems to have met almost 100% compliance. And the schools, secondary schools, primary schools, virtually all the sector of the economy was shut down. Not just the markets, women's, the entire traders or shops and economic activities, schools, banks were not left out. Even most of the government institutions or parastatals, of course, could not resume. And the commuters, transporters were also affected. That was a total clampdown on the economic activities. And some pockets of violence was recorded. Now that he has given another, of course, ultimatum, this is not just a threat, but a promise, according to him, which they definitely must keep. And it is no longer a child's play because I believe these people are really bent at whatever they think is the only way forward for them. According to him, that this will serve as a deterrent of forestall any further intention to continue the illegal detention or incarceration, torture, of course, of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. The self-acclaimed prime minister has given directives on how this should be implemented and enforced. This time around, they said that the entire oil blocks or exploration within the supposed Biafran territory will be clamped down and there will be no exploration of oil in the Biafran land, he claims. Wow, this is becoming more interesting, so to say, because in recent times, people seems to have sympathy for the declaration of Sitaton owing to the insincerity on the part of the federal government to adhere to the rules of engagement. You know, prior to this time, the former president Muhammadu Buhari said that he will not interfere with the proceedings of the courts, that the fate of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, will be decided through the court proceedings. But unfortunately, even after when the appellate court has ruled on this case, and of course has given their verdict of position regarding the counter allegations or bordering on treasoning and terrorism levied against Mazen Kanu. And they discover or found him to be innocent of all the charges levied against him. And to this end, the court declared him discharged and acquitted, yet ordered the government to release him unconditionally and compensate him. And yet, there have been several court injunctions to this effect, and yet the government has refused to comply with the directives of the ruling. And this informed, of course, the agitation or the civil disobedience via the sit at home, which has crippled not just the eastern economy because there is no interstate business transaction going on, not even the banks. If you are tapped within this region, then of course the entire economic activities will be hampered pending on when such is lifted up. Let me just leave you to hear, of course, from the horse's mouth and words he has to say.
Military checkpoint, military barracks, police station, police post, government house, all of them shut down during this protest. Biafra remain resolute and their demand for justice. And the 2 week sit at home will start from the 31st of July to 14th of August 2023. The same demand on which the first week-long sit at home was made still remain the same and stand. This sit at home will run through August 14 from 31st of July 2023 to 4th of August 2023. The entire Biafra land will be under lock and key.
Now the question is, if the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria appears to be helpless in the midst of all these realities, then why the need of continued detention of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra based on the position of constitutionality, based on the provision of the Constitution, a man is presumed innocent until proven otherwise by the competent courts of law. And now that his innocency has been affirmed by the Nigerian legal jurisprudence, there is no any reason why he should be held illegally after the declaration of the court or the verdict of the court, which pronounced Mazen Khan innocent, acquitted, and discharged, and affirms that no other court within the Nigerian jurisdiction has the right, of course, to try him on any count charges. Why should the Nigerian government continue to plunge the entire eastern region into unimaginable level of uncertainty, knowing fully well that whatever is happening within the eastern region is as a result of the gross violation and the inability to adhere to the rules of law by the Nigerian government. It is quite unfortunate that the Easterners, of course, are bearing the brunt of this injustice or indifference on the parts of the federal government. There have been several opinions on calls from different quarters urging the Nigerian government to comply to the directives or the verdict of the court in the interest of peace to be restored within the eastern region, but to no avail. Such calls has not been heeded to, and now that this is happening, and not even the security personnel could be available, of course, to protect the life and property of those residents within the eastern region, then why should the government continue to live in self denial and destruction? Of course, as far as I am concerned, and based on the realities and the observations, of course, that I have I have conducted, these people will never back down. Of course, I'm a witness to what is happening. I made a travel down to East ever since I had been trapped. So this is not something that I just heard, just a mere say. I have experienced it, and I hope that the government of Nigeria, in the interest of peace, equity, and fairness, should comply, of course, to the directives of the court to release a man that has been acquitted and discharged by a constitutionally established laws of the Nigerian sovereignty, and should not, of course, continue the detention, illegal detention of Mazen Khan. This is informs the major demands of the pro-Biafran agitators, and to this end, they are not backing down. Please be free to let us know what is your contribution and how do you think the government attention should be brought to this nagging issue of great concern and the way forward.